Hey, what's up, guys? This is Sammy, aka Sam's Yanks. Welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and click the thumbs up so I can continue on with these videos and share what I see and what everybody else is seeing. The fact that you have American citizens fighting for the freedom of immigration and the rights for people who are not doing any crimes and are being arrested and taken by ICE simply because of their color of the skin or the way they speak or whatever for that matter. And I feel like we need, as Americans, to step up and help the people in Minnesota as best as we can. Now, I'm here in New York City. I don't know if I'm the type of to be out there protesting. I don't think I will be protesting out there. I do have a family that loves me and they want me to be safe. But I got to give it to these American people that are out there, American citizens that are going out there and protesting and helping out, innocent people. Now, we don't know, what's going on behind the scenes when it comes to ICE agents going to these locations in Minneapolis. They're not sharing that with us. They're just saying they're going after bad hombres, which is what Donald Trump is calling them. People who are committing crimes and are illegal aliens or illegal immigrants. Sorry for saying aliens because they're not from Mars. But, these are agents that are going after these bad people. But they are also harming innocent American citizens that are out there protesting what they're doing. And you and I can speak here and say, Donald Trump is doing the right thing. Yes, I applaud that. I love the fact that Donald Trump is going after illegal immigrants that are committing crimes. But don't go after people that are innocent and trying to make a living here. We are, for example, an immigrant nation, If you look at your history and you study history, we're not Germany, we're not Hitler, we're not in the 1930s where Jewish people were being chased after by the German people back in the 1930s. It feels like it's repeating history, for the same reason. Bringing back now what happened to Alex Pretti, if I'm saying his name right. Now you really have to say, as an American, you have to say to yourself, whoa, now it's going above and beyond. And the government is finally probably now starting to understand this. Even Donald Trump right now is saying, well, no, keep me out of this. You guys are in charge. I'm giving you authority. Anyway, so let's go right to this video that I found that I want to share with you. So disturbing images. So viewer discretion is advised. And I ask you guys to please, if you don't want to see it, don't see it.
Officers fatally shot a man Saturday in Minneapolis. He was an ICU nurse who worked at a local Veteran Affairs hospital. Another controversial killing by U.S. immigration agents. And the second U.S. citizen killed this month. CNN analyzed cell phone footage from multiple angles. Taken together, they appear at odds with the Department of Homeland Security's initial claims about the lead-up to officers firing on Alex Pretti. Around 9 a.m. Central, video captures two people approaching a federal immigration officer in front of an unidentified vehicle. The sound of whistles is blaring in the background. Alex Pretti enters the frame here. He's filming an officer interacting with protesters and waving a car through. 15 seconds later, Pretti yells, "Hey, do not push them into the traffic!" In their statement, DHS said that an individual approached officers with, quote, a 9mm semi-automatic handgun. This video seems to show officers approaching Pretti instead of the other way around. We'll see later that Pretti does appear to have had a gun in his waistband, but this video shows he didn't have a gun in his hand, only a phone. Video from this white car shows an up-close angle of a federal immigration officer pushing one protester. Then, 3 seconds later, He pushes Pretti, and then as the camera comes into focus, you see the same federal officer push a third protester with the orange backpack. Pretti raises his hand and turns away, just as the officer sprays him with a chemical irritant. You see Pretti and the other protester trying to help the person with the orange backpack. You can see here an officer pulling Pretti off of this person. 3 more officers join, and then 2 more. Pretti is on the ground under them. One officer in a tan beanie can be seen repeatedly striking Pretti's head with a metal can. You can see an officer in a gray jacket walk into the frame. There isn't a gun in his hand. Seconds later, officers shout. The officer removes a gun from Pretti's belt. The officer steps away from the scene carrying a firearm, seen here in his right hand. Then, gunfire. At least 10 shots ring out. We looked back at the scene from different angles and slowed down the footage. This officer, wearing a black beanie, can be seen drawing his firearm and pointing it in Pretti's direction. We can't see his gun when the first shot is fired, but we can see that this officer fired the second shot. In this angle, you see a second officer also had his gun drawn, and here, he's pointing his weapon at Pretti as we hear gunshots, though it isn't clear if he's the one firing.
What the f***? Did they kill that guy?
Pretti collapses onto the ground as the officers scatter backwards from around him. The same agent in the black beanie from earlier can be seen firing 5 final shots as Pretti lies there, motionless. Nobody approached his body for 24 seconds. When officers do return to Pretti, they appear to begin searching his body. Video shows that about a minute after Pretti collapsed, immigration officers ask for medical support. When CNN asked DHS about the officer removing the gun before the shooting, DHS repeated their earlier statement, quote, "Officers attempted to disarm the suspect, but the armed suspect violently resisted."
So I'm going to rewind this video and I'm going to go a little slower regarding what we are seeing here. Now I'm going to mute the video so you don't hear her. So, because I'm going to give you my thoughts on this. All right. So here I'm watching this video, right? And we're breaking this down piece by piece. Now, this is Homeland Security, what they said. I'm going to leave it there so you guys could read it just a little bit, but I'm going to read a little bit of it, but you can read it with me. At 9:05 a.m., as DHS law enforcement officers were conducting a targeted operation in Minneapolis against an illegal alien wanted for violent assault, an individual approached U.S. Border Patrol officers with a 9mm semi-automatically handgun seen. So now this is their statement. Now, when you look at the video, as you see this angle, these 2 women are antagonizing or, doing what they're doing, whether you want to call it antagonizing or not. They videotaping. They're angry towards ICE. I personally, I don't know why would they even want to be there in that position. Blow the whistle, let them know that you're here, you're against what they're saying, but to be that close, that kind of angers anybody. Now, I know they're professionals, or should I say I'm thinking that they're professionals. I don't know. But it's something that I am very, very concerned. If you're out there protesting, alert people from a distance. Don't stand and doing what they were doing in that position like that. Now, but this is a free country, right? So they can do whatever they want. So let's continue. So now he comes into the frame of this video And he looks like he has the phone on the right hand, left hand, he's letting other cars say, come, this, we're not blocking you. He's kind of like doing that. So at this moment, as he's filming, this woman right here, she filmed her angle. The footage of Alex, I don't know what happened to his phone. Where's his footage of his angle? They confiscated his vehicle, his phone. That's a very good question to ask. So at this point, he is yelling, "Do not push her in front of traffic or in front of a car. Do not push her in front of a car." That's what he's saying. You don't see his gun. He has a gun, but you don't see it in his hand. He has a cell phone here, and you don't see it in his hand. So let's continue. See, so right there, he says, "Do not push her into the traffic." So now at this point, here's this agent, and the other agent that he just spoke to, he's getting annoyed. He's getting pissed off.
Statement, DHS said that an individual approached
U.S. Border Patrol officer with a 9mm semi-automatic. Again, if they were concerned that they approached them with a 9mm automatic, all he was doing, this agent here, all he was doing is just pushing. If he was so concerned about the gun, then why he's not confronting him about the gun? Okay, so now he's approaching to push her and Alex at this point.
Approaching Pretti instead of the other way around. We'll see later that.
So now, for some reason, right there, that I don't know if they know each other. This lady and and Alex, you could see her wrap her arm around him, and right away, the agent is fed up, angry. Which this is what I'm saying. You're a professional. You are a professional. What are you doing losing your cool in a situation like this?
Waistband. But this video shows he didn't have a gun in his hand, only a phone.
So let's continue with the video. I'm going to put the audio so you can hear the commentator speak.
From this white car shows an up-close angle of a federal immigration officer pushing one protester. Then, 3 seconds later, he pushes Pretti. And then as the camera comes into focus, you see the same federal...
So now, see, this is what I'm talking about. This agent is losing it. This is not just him. The majority of the ICE agents are losing it. They are out of control. And this is where the president has to step in and say, enough is enough. Get them out of here. They are out of control. It's sad that, like Rogan said, I'm not a fan of Joe Rogan, but like he said, they are out of control. They need to get out. They are losing it.
Sir, push a third protester with the orange backpack. Pretti raises his hand and turns.
So at this point, he's raising his hand because he knows he's about to get pepper sprayed. Again, his gun is around here, but he's not. He has the phone on his right hand, lifting his left hand with the agent. The agent is just angry. That's it. His ego is out of control at this moment.
Just as the officer sprays him with a chemical irritant. You see Pretti and the other protester trying to help the person with the orange backpack.
So at this point right here, the agent is pulling him away from the lady. Other agents have no clue what's going on. They're just going over there. That's an agent. Let's go help him out.
You can see here an officer pulling Pretti off of this person. 3 more officers join, and then 2 more. Pretti is on the ground under them. One officer in a tan beanie can be seen repeatedly striking.
Again, why is this guy striking him with a can in the head? He's like striking him. These guys are out of control. And if you guys love life and you guys are American, you know you should be against this.
Pretti's head with a metal can. You can see an officer in a gray jacket walk into the frame. There isn't a gun in his hand. Seconds later, officers shout.
See, right here, officers start to shout, he has a gun. The gun is right here. And he's getting ready to pull out a gun. He's taking out his gun.
Moves the gun from Pretti's belt. The officer steps away from the scene carrying a firearm, seen here in his right hand. Then, gunfire. At least 10 shots ring out. We looked back at the scene from different angles and slowed down the footage. This officer, wearing a black beanie, can be seen drawing his firearm and pointing it in Pretti's direction. We can't see his gun when the first shot is fired, but we can see that this officer fired the second shot. In this angle, you see a second officer also had his gun drawn, and here, he's pointing his weapon at Pretti as we hear gunshots, though it isn't clear if he's the one firing.
What the f***? Did they f***ing kill that guy?
Pretti collapses onto the ground as the officers scatter backwards from around him. The same agent in the black beanie from earlier can be seen firing 5 final shots as Pretti lies there, motionless. Nobody approached his body for 24 seconds. When officers do return to Pretti,
Just very sad to witness that. A bit shocked that Wikipedia came up with already a story about the killing of Alex Pretti and a little background about his life, and the government are accusing him of being an assassin, that he wanted to go out there and kill. Now, there are conflicting situations being thrown at left and right, so we'll get down to it more as the time goes by. But in my opinion, I just think that he went out there because he's very angry at what they're doing, and he wanted to be a part of that protest. And unfortunately, he lost his life because of it. So I'm going to share subscribe to their channel, but I'm going to share this video.
Well, a very serious subject to hit right off the bat today. Customs and Border Protection agents shot and killed a U.S. citizen in Minneapolis, Minnesota, outside a restaurant on Saturday. The victim is 37-year-old Alex Pretti. He was licensed to carry a firearm, and he had one with him. The available footage does not show every detail of what happened, but Pretti was holding a cell phone rather than his gun when the officers initiated contact and when they began wrestling him to the ground. Trump administration officials, including Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem and Deputy White House Chief of Staff Stephen Miller, have already declared the killing completely justified, claiming that Pretti had intended to murder law enforcement agents. But there is no evidence of this, none whatsoever, which is making it difficult for me to avoid the conclusion that, frankly, the administration is just prepared to brazenly lie about what happened. Now, regular viewers will know that I don't say that lightly. I am not generally prone to hyperbole. I think these clashes between law enforcement and the protesters are difficult to scrutinize and have brought out a lot of confident, bold, and wrong claims from people on all sides of the political spectrum. I think it's perfectly plausible that the officer, for instance, who shot Renee Good 2 weeks ago was justified because he did reasonably fear for his life in the moment. That might also be the case here with Alex Pretti once we know more. But that does not excuse members of our government saying things about his death that are verifiably false, and this is becoming a pattern, and I'm getting sick of it. Now, Republican officials, including Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent and FBI Director Kash Patel, they are taking the position that merely bringing a gun to a protest is a violation of the law or indication of murderous intent. Seriously, take a look. Here was Patel.
As Kristi said, you cannot bring a firearm loaded with multiple magazines to any sort of protest that you want. It's that simple. You don't have that right to break the law and incite violence. We will, of course, always protect your First Amendment speech. And if you peacefully protest, there is absolutely nothing wrong with that. But you have seen a trend here, not just in Minnesota, but across the country.
That's very wrong. Here was Bessent.
Have you ever gone to a protest, Jonathan?
I mean, we do have a Second Amendment in this country that...
Jonathan, have you ever gone to a protest?
I mean...
have you gone to a protest?
I mean, no, actually, as a reporter covering it.
Okay, I've been to a protest. Yeah. Guess what? I didn't bring a gun. I brought a billboard.
What are they talking about? They're completely wrong. You can bring a gun to a protest. Of course you can. You can vigorously exercise your Second Amendment rights and your First Amendment rights at the same time. Now, video footage of Pretti's death shows federal agents using pepper spray on the protesters. Pretti appears to be recording the altercation with his cell phone, and then after an agent shoves one of the protesters to the ground, Pretti moves to assist her. Several CBP agents then decide to bring Pretti down. It's conceivable that the agent who shot Pretti had the impression he was reaching for a weapon, though the first shot clearly went off after another agent had already disarmed Pretti. It's also possible that the killer didn't have even that much justification, yet federal authorities have all but ruled out this possibility and are making abjectly false statements in support of their position. Noem has repeatedly claimed it's a fact Pretti intended to harm officers. She said this individual showed up to law enforcement operations with a weapon and dozens of rounds of ammunition. He wasn't there to peacefully protest. He was there to perpetuate violence. Miller flatly asserted, Stephen Miller, that Pretti was a domestic terrorist who tried to assassinate federal law enforcement. Look, I'm sorry, this is not...
So, to me, in my opinion, I just think that's just an assumption. We can't prove that. We only can prove what the professionals have done, where they're not being professionals, and they killed this person for simply protesting.
True. They have no evidence of that Pretti wanted to kill anyone. Even if evidence were unexpectedly to come out tomorrow, later today, that he was secretly a would-be assassin, it would still be wrong for officials to state as fact that he had intended to kill, because there are no known facts that establish murder as his motivation. This is a man who was watching officers interact with protesters and recording it on his phone. Contrary to what the Department of Homeland Security wrote on X, he did not approach law enforcement, let alone with a gun drawn. These willful omissions and obvious lies do not inspire confidence on my part that the federal government is interested in discovering the truth of what happened here. That is a glaring indictment of the administration's approach to immigration enforcement specifically and law enforcement in general. And as if quietly conceding that none of the available facts were advancing that narrative, now Republican officials are taking the ludicrous position that possessing a gun in the first place is evidence of intent to cause harm. It is not. Minnesota is a concealed carry state where it is lawful to carry a firearm in a public place. The notion that an individual cannot or should not exercise both his First Amendment and Second Amendment rights simultaneously, that's usually a misguided leftist talking point that I'm used to arguing against. In fact, the American Civil Liberties Union, the ACLU, they took criticism from conservatives and libertarians for becoming squishy on this and advocating against the gun rights of protesters after January 6th.
And we're going to go to another video.
Parts here. And to your point about, are you a citizen? That's the question they ask. And then Target then is now having people go and work in the back if they're Latinos, etc. Because why? Who carries around their passport? Look, I'm brown. I could look Latino. People could think I look Latino. Am I carrying my passport around or my naturalization papers? No, it's not a good idea to begin with. So now if you say, are you a US citizen, and you can't prove it, they're gonna arrest you. If you don't answer it, they're gonna arrest you. No matter what you say, if you look a certain way, they're gonna arrest you. And then since we're not doing anything by the law anymore, they're like, arrest you in the back of a van, and after we know we do God knows what to you, then we just dump you off the side of the street. No, that's not the American way. That's not rule of law. That's not law and order. And it's actually very refreshing to at least see Rogan go, no, we don't wear masks. That's not what we do. And guys, if you're not getting it by now, that leads to the second point I wanted to make, which is, why are they doing this? So yeah, there's the reason that they're giving, which is already absurd and ridiculous. Stephen Miller wants to catch Obama. Obama deported so many people, he was called a deporter in chief. And in order to catch him, they have to do 3,000 deportations a day. But when they do that, they've run out of all the criminals that they could find. They're onto the non-criminals, and they can't find enough non-criminals, partly because they live here. So they are in that house, they're living lives, they're at work. And the American people don't like to see what is a very ugly scene. That was exactly right. It looks very ugly when you have these stormtroopers going into the middle of American cities, agitating everyone. And then when someone goes, hey, I object, and they shoot them in the face. No, and Anna, what I'm super worried about is they're trying to get us used to the tyranny and to occupation.
Yes.
Okay,
yep.
So they're not going to be able to get 3,000 people a day, and they're certainly not going to be able to get 3,000 people a day without massive oppression, massive number of mistakes, and going after U.S. citizens, etc. We don't want this. Nobody wants this, and now the independent podcasters are clear. They don't want this. Dylan doesn't want it. Rogan doesn't want it. And the only reason why the Palantirs and the Stephen Millers of the world want it is because at the end of the day, we're all going to be in that same category soon, where the government is going to track all of us. If anybody objects to the government, look, there's masked men working for the government, ready to put their jackbooted, thuggish, knee on your neck. And it isn't just for African Americans or Latinos anymore. It's for all of us.
Yeah, that's exactly right. It's for all of us. So those who are watching my video and see these things happening, who knows if the government continues with ICE agents going from town to town and city and all that stuff, it's going to happen to your neighborhood near you. And what are you going to do about it? You have innocent people that family that friends that that might be arrested by ICE, and that they're good people. The ones that are getting killed right now are American citizens. They're not even the immigrants that they're supposed to be going after. Our governor, Kathy Hochul, and this is what she has to say.
I need to speak plainly about something that should stop every American in their tracks. Yesterday in Minneapolis, federal immigration agents killed another American citizen in broad daylight. His name was Alex Pretti. He was 37 years old. He was an ICU nurse, someone whose job was saving lives. Video shows him doing something he was trained to do, to help people. He was trying to reach over and help a woman in need when she was thrown to the ground by federal agents. And within seconds, federal agents threw him to the ground and fired a shot, not one, but a barrage of bullets into his body on a public sidewalk in America. The federal government claims the killing was justified. This nurse with nothing more than a cell phone in his hand, that he was trying to kill them. That's their story. But anyone who's seen this horrific video, multiple videos, knows that this is a shameless, bold-faced lie. This is not a threat that needs to be neutralized. It was a civilian exercising the free right to protest. And this is a continuation of a deadly pattern, a pattern of violence. It is well known that earlier this month, federal agents also shot a mother of three in the face when she just extended a greeting to him. 2 American families destroyed. Confidence in federal law enforcement shattered. At the same time, ICE agents are arresting children. A 5-year-old returning from preschool, using them as bait, while our federal leaders feed the false narratives instead of taking responsibility. But videos don't lie. And don't stop believing what your eyes tell you.
All right, so that's Kathy, New York State Governor, and her say and her take about what she thinks of this. Now, whether she's lying, telling the truth, who cares, right? Point is what happened to this guy. So I'm going to go back to do some more searching that I'm finding. Now, this is video showing Alex Pretti giving veterans he treated in an ICU final salute.
Now, as the community grieves the loss of a man, those who knew him say he was a person who helped others.
Today we remember that freedom is not free. We have to work at it, nurture it, protect it, and even sacrifice for it. May we never forget and always remember our brothers and sisters who have served so that we may enjoy the gift of freedom. So in this moment, we remember and give thanks for their dedication and selfless service to our nation in the cause of our freedom. In this solemn hour, we render our honor and our gratitude.
This is video shared with WCCO from Mac Randolph, who says Pretti was his father's ICU nurse. The video shows Pretti giving him his final salute at the VA after he passed.
Again, this is an American citizen who protested against ICE. And I love what he says. Freedom is not free unless you go after it. And this is what all of us as Americans should do. Freedom is not free. And as long as you have Donald Trump, which I favor what he's doing with illegal immigrants that are bad hombres, I also have to say that I am very saddened that he's taken it above and beyond with the expectations of doing everything that the majority of the Americans don't agree with. And if you are that American that is agreeing with what's happening here, then you're not American. You don't seem to care. You're very selfish and ignorant, in my point of view, to believe that what you're seeing is justified. And as who else is going to die until this stops? It's sad that this is happening, and I want it to end. I want people to realize that there is a Lord and Savior, and he is Jesus Christ. And we all need to seek him, because at the end of the day, we're watching these stories unfold. But we need to understand that there is a God, there is a Savior, and he is Jesus. And we need to follow him and read the Bible and listen. At the end of the day, we are all going to perish, and you need to seek for forgiveness and repent and be born again and follow Jesus. And we don't have to see this. We don't have to see none of this. So with that said, subscribe to my channel, click the like button. Again, I have mixed emotions about everything that's happening. It's sad to witness these things that are happening. I just want to share my opinion about it. And there it is. God bless you guys. I hope everyone stays safe. And until next time.